Good day everyone. My name is Alicia Joy Sitingko from BSED Science 1A and my report for today is all about the Agrarian Reform policies of the Philippines. So, before we start our discussion, let us first answer the pretest that I prepared. So, our learning objectives is to identify the differences between land reform and agrarian reform, and to know the history of agrarian reform, and to identify different law in agrarian reform. The agrarian condition. The Philippines agrarian system was ruled for a very long time by powerful landlords. The rights of small farmers in the Philippines to land and other natural resources were being fought for. So, let us now identify the differences between the land reform and the agrarian reform, which is under land reform, land is transferred from landlords to tenant farmers in the Philippines, with the intention of improving their position in life by allowing the latter to possess a piece of land. While the entire evolution of farmers' political, social, and economic change is the main goal of agrarian reform. Its definition is the rectification of the entire agriculture system. So, let us now proceed to the history of the agrarian reform. The pre-Spanish period. Land ownership in the southern Philippines was an archaic private ownership system, influenced by the Indo-Malayan race. Socio-economic classes included nobles, serfs, and slaves, each with their own land, agricultural yield, and servitude for the datu or tradable goods. The nobles. This social class could own their own land free from tribute payment. The serfs. They were entitled to cultivate certain land, but were required to pay an annual fee of 1/2 of the yield of their crops to the datu. Lastly, the slaves, which they simply served the datu or the nobles and they could be sold or traded. Next is the Spanish period. Spain declared the Philippines public domain, establishing the encomienda system for encomenderos to protect and maintain harmony. The system was eventually replaced by the cacique class in the mid-17th century. Tenancy sharing, or the kasama system, involved leased lands to rural residents. Next is the American period. Pedro Abad Santos, a socialist and peasant leader, nearly defeated the Pampango landlords candidate in the 1940 elections, demonstrating even more hostility to the government and local government policies. To ensure the welfare and financial security of every individual, the 1935 Constitution included a fundamental element on social justice due to the procreated nature of the agricultural problem. Now, let us proceed to the present republic. The year 1963 saw President Diosdado Macapagal enacted RA number 3844, popularly referred to as the Agricultural Land Reform Code, which established an agricultural leasehold system and abolished shared tenancy. The day was September 21, 1972. Presidential Decree number 2, signed by Ferdinand Marcos, designated the Philippines as Land of Reform Country. The day was October 21, 1972. Emancipating the tenant farmers from the bondage of soil is the meaning of Presidential Decree number 27, which Marcos signed. The Comprehensive Agricultural Reform Law of 1988, also known as RA number 6657, is the main statute controlling agricultural reform under the new Constitution. The Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law, or the CARP, its main objectives are to uphold and advance social justice and equity in rural areas, as well as the welfare of farm laborers and landless farmers. The Department of Agrarian Reform, or the DAR, the DAR logo displays the acronym for the department, which represents the organization and its role as the primary agency responsible for implementing the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, or the CARP. Green represents fertility and productivity, while yellow represents hope and a plentiful harvest of agrarian reform. Beneficiaries are those who receive the services provided by the department through the CARP. These scholars imply that agricultural reform is a workable strategy for accomplishing both sensible rural development and economic expansion. So, here are some problems of agrarian reform. First is the political, failure of land transfer, circumvention of law, lack of political will, implementation of law, and lack of justice and equality. Now, we can answer the post-test, and the first part is to write the correct letter of the correct answer. The second part of the post-test is to identify if the statement is true or false.